They say you never really forget your first love. I didn't. Even when I wanted to. Even when I should have. Her name was Sarah. I met her in college, freshman year at a state university in Indiana. She was loud where I was quiet, bold where I was cautious. She pulled me into her orbit fast and without much effort. By the end of that year, we were inseparable. I fell hard. Like headfirst, no parachute kind of falling. I loved her in that way only young guys do, like nothing else mattered. I planned my classes around hers, worked a shitty night shift just so I could afford dates, learned to cook because she liked pasta even though I could barely boil water back then. I did everything I could to be the guy she needed or wanted or wouldn't get tired of. She liked that I listened. She said that a lot. That no one had ever listened to her the way I did. But she never really returned the favor. I didn't notice that until much later. Back then, I thought love was supposed to be lopsided sometimes. After graduation, we moved to Chicago. I took a low-paying job in tech support. She bounced between gigs, bartending, waitressing, some startup marketing thing that folded in 6 months. She never liked working. Said she wanted to live free, whatever that meant. I supported us. Paid the bills. Bought groceries. She complained we never went out anymore. I said I was tired. She said I was boring. Fights started slow. Then loud. Then constant. But I kept trying. I thought love was about holding on even when it hurts. I thought if I just fixed myself a little more, she'd finally see me the way I saw her. One night I came home early from work. She wasn't there. Her phone was off. Around midnight, she walked in wearing a shirt I'd never seen before, reeking of cologne that wasn't mine. She looked at me and didn't even flinch. "I'm done," she said. "I met someone. I need more." And just like that she left. I didn't eat for days. Couldn't sleep. I called in sick and stayed in bed, replaying every moment, every red flag I'd ignored. I felt like a ghost in my own apartment. Like my whole body was broken from the inside. I didn't tell anyone for a while. I was ashamed. Embarrassed I gave everything and it still wasn't enough. I thought about calling her. I didn't. I deleted her number but still remembered it by heart. Weeks passed. Then months. I went to work. I came home. I stopped answering texts from friends. I didn't know who I was without her. That's when I decided I had to change. Not for her. For me. If I was gonna survive this, I had to rebuild from the ground up. And that's where the Betrayal story begins. The first thing I did was cancel Netflix. Not because I had anything against it, but because it had become my entire life. I'd come home, throw some junk food on a plate, and disappear into shows just to avoid thinking. About her. About me. About how pathetic I felt. I started walking every night. Just small loops around the block at first. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I couldn't sit still anymore. My legs needed to move even if my mind didn't know where to go. The nights got colder. Fall in Chicago hits hard. But I kept walking. Bought a used pair of running shoes and a hoodie from the thrift store. I didn't track miles. I didn't care about that. I just needed the silence. The sound of my feet on pavement became the only thing that made sense. Then I joined a gym. Not one of those fancy ones with juice bars and mood lighting. Just a plain place near the L station with old machines and fluorescent lights. I didn't know what I was doing. I just showed up. That was enough at first. I started reading again. Books I ignored when I was with her because she said they were too serious. I liked serious. I liked things that made me think instead of just feel. I got promoted at work. Took on more hours. My boss said she noticed a change. "You seem more focused," she said. That was funny to me. I wasn't focused. I was surviving. About 6 months in, I looked in the mirror one morning and didn't hate what I saw. I wasn't happy. Not even close. But I looked alive. That was new. One night, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Hey. Just wanted to say I hope you're doing okay. Sarah." I stared at it for a long time. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I thought about everything I wanted to say. How she wrecked me. How she walked away without a backward glance. How I cried like a kid for weeks while she played house with someone new. But I didn't say any of that. I just typed, "I will be." Then I blocked the number. That night, I slept through the whole night for the first time in months. There's this thing people say about closure, that it's something you get from the person who hurt you. I don't buy that anymore. I think closure is something you give yourself when you decide you're done bleeding for someone who never once tried to stop the bleeding. By the time winter rolled around, I'd put on some muscle. I wasn't jacked or anything, just solid. I looked like a guy who had his shit together. Even if I didn't. I got invited to a friend's birthday party. Almost didn't go, but I did. And that's where I met her. Her name was Lacey. She was quiet. soft-spoken. Said she worked at a shelter. Volunteered with kids. Nothing flashy. No high heels or loud voice. Just a warm smile and tired eyes that made you want to know what she'd been through. We talked for an hour straight. And for the first time since Sarah left, I laughed without faking it. You ever close a chapter in your life, think it's done, sealed, over, and then it gets reopened out of nowhere? Like an old scab ripping open just when it finally stopped itching? That's what happened next. Lacey and I started seeing each other. Slow. No big declarations, no all-nighters on the phone. Just small, honest things. Coffee on Sundays. Walks through old neighborhoods. She liked quiet places and secondhand bookstores. Said she didn't need big gestures, just honesty. And I was honest. I told her about Sarah. About how wrecked I'd been. How I wasn't sure if I was even ready for anything serious. She didn't flinch. She said, "We can go as slow as you need." So we did. And slowly, I started to feel something like peace. I wasn't in love. Not yet. But I wasn't hurting anymore either. Lacey made space for me in a way that didn't feel like pressure. And in return, I showed up. I listened. I remembered the little things. I tried. Then one night, almost a year after Sarah left, I ran into her. At all places, a damn Walgreens. I was buying toothpaste. She was grabbing wine, with some guy waiting in the car outside. She looked at me, blinked like I was a ghost. I just nodded, said, "Hey." She said, "You look good." I didn't respond. Then she laughed, a little nervously. "I still think about you sometimes." That hit harder than it should have. Not because I still loved her. I didn't. Not anymore. But because part of me had been waiting to hear that. Like it would fix something. Didn't. It just made me tired. She asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime. Catch up. I shook my head. "I'm seeing someone," I said. Her face tightened. Just a little. "Oh, okay." And that was it. I walked out. Got in my car. Drove home. Lacey was on the couch reading when I got in. She looked up, smiled, said, "Hey, you all right?" I said, "Yeah." And I meant it. That was the night I realized I'd closed the youth gestalt. The part of me that kept looking back, trying to understand why it all fell apart, had finally stopped caring. Sarah wasn't a mystery anymore. She was a lesson. Lacey never needed me to be someone I wasn't. She didn't ask for flash. She just wanted me to be there. And I was. I started saving money, got serious about work, applied for a leadership role and got it. Started thinking about the future, not some vague fantasy, but something real. Place, a plan, a person. The hook came later, when I saw Lacey crying in the kitchen over a letter from her mom. Something about it broke me. The way she sat on the floor, hugging her knees, not asking for anything. Just being real. Vulnerable. I sat down next to her, held her hand, and it hit me like a punch to the chest. This was love. Not the fireworks kind. Not the movie scene kiss in the rain nonsense. Real love. Quiet. Steady. Unflinching. It wasn't about who made your heart race. It was about who made it rest. Things with Lacey kept getting better, slowly, like a steady climb instead of a roller coaster. She wasn't like anyone I'd ever been with. No mind games, no dramatics. Just presence. Calm. We talked about things most couples avoid. Past heartbreaks, money, therapy. She told me she'd been hurt before. A guy who made her feel small. Said she wasn't worth much. "I believed him for a while," she said once. "But I'm trying not to anymore." I said, "He was wrong." She looked away, like she didn't quite believe it yet. We didn't move in together. Didn't talk about marriage or rings. But I was there more than I wasn't. Kept a toothbrush in her bathroom. Some socks in her drawer. She started making me coffee in the morning, just how I liked it. Those things don't seem like much, but they mattered. And then, almost a year into being with her, I got a message out of the blue. Not from Sarah this time. From a guy I used to know. Mutual friend from back in the day. Said he ran into Sarah recently and she mentioned me. Said she was single again. Said she missed me. I didn't reply, but it messed me up. Not because I wanted her back. I didn't. It was the idea of it. The fact that after everything, she still thought I'd be there. That after leaving me in pieces, she thought maybe I hadn't moved on. I sat with that for days. Lacey noticed I was off. "You good?" she asked one night, brushing her teeth. I nodded. "Yeah, just tired." That word again. The one that covers everything and means nothing. But later that night I told her. The whole thing. That Sarah had tried to reach out. That it brought up old crap I thought I was done with. She didn't get mad. She didn't accuse me of anything. She just asked, "Do you still love her?" I shook my head. "No, I don't even think I did, back then. I think I was just obsessed with fixing something that wasn't mine to fix." She nodded. Didn't say anything for a while. Then, okay. That was it. No drama. No accusations. Just trust. I don't think I'd ever had that before. Not really. It scared the hell out of me. A month later, we took a weekend trip. Just a small town a few hours away. Walked through art markets. Ate greasy diner food. Stayed in a rundown motel with thin walls and broken blinds. It was perfect. On the drive back, she reached over and took my hand. "I'm glad we met when we did," she said. "I don't think I'd have been ready any sooner. Neither would I." The thing about falling in love again after being wrecked is that it's not loud. It's not fireworks and big speeches. It's just showing up. Again and again. And that's what we did. Lacey never needed to be impressed. She didn't care about what kind of car I drove, how much money I made, or how many followers I had on anything. She liked the way I laughed at stupid jokes. The way I opened doors without thinking. The way I stayed quiet when she needed silence instead of advice. It wasn't flashy. It was just consistent. I'd been promoted again at work. Nothing major, but enough to afford a better apartment. I asked Lacey if she wanted to move in. She didn't jump at it. Said she liked her space, liked knowing she could leave if she needed to. I respected that. We didn't move in together, but we kept building something, day by day. Then one night after a company dinner, I got a call. Unknown number. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. "Hey," she said. "Sarah." I froze. Didn't say anything. She sighed. "I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from." I said nothing. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I didn't realize what I had until I lost it." Still, I didn't say a word. She kept going. "I've been thinking about you. About us. I thought maybe, if you're single, maybe we could talk." That's when I finally spoke. "I'm not." Silence. "Oh," she said. Then, "Is she good to you?" "She's everything you weren't," I said. "She listens. She stays." Another pause. "I see," she whispered. Then I hung up. Didn't feel triumphant. Didn't feel angry. Just done. It hit me then how far I'd come. How much I'd changed. How I'd stopped chasing ghosts and started planting roots. Later that night, I told Lacey about the call. She didn't freak out. Didn't spiral. Just looked at me and said, "You didn't have to tell me, but I'm glad you did." And I knew I'd found something rare. We never had much. No big house, no flashy vacations, no Instagram-perfect weekends. Just old movies on a couch that creaked too much. Cheap red wine and frozen pizza. A shared blanket. A shared silence. And a kind of love that asked for nothing but honesty. I used to think I had to earn love. Like it was a prize given only if I tried hard enough. But Lacey showed me that love isn't earned. It's received. Freely. Without conditions. Without begging for it. I used to chase the big things. Big moments, big feelings, big declarations. I thought that's what love meant. Fireworks, grand gestures, drama. But with Lacey, I learned different. Love wasn't noise. It was the quiet stuff. The way she handed me coffee before I even asked. The way she touched my arm when she passed by. The way she didn't fill every silence with words. We weren't rich. Far from it. I had a decent job, sure, but we weren't going on cruises or remodeling kitchens. We had a budget. We stuck to it. She worked weekends sometimes, tutoring kids who couldn't keep up in school. I picked up freelance side gigs doing remote IT fixes. Nothing glamorous, but it felt good, clean, real. Sometimes I'd catch myself watching her read in the living room, hair tied back, glasses on, just completely at ease. And I'd think, I almost missed this. Because of Sarah. Because of a life I thought I needed. I started seeing things clearer. The way I used to twist myself into knots for a woman who barely saw me. The way I thought pain meant passion. How I equated suffering with love. Lacey never made me question my worth. She just saw it. One night, about 2 years in, we were sitting on the porch, listening to the neighborhood wind down. She had a blanket over her knees, mug of tea in hand. "You ever think about the old days?" she asked. I nodded. "Too much, probably." "I don't," she said. "I used to. But now I just think about where we are. And where we could be." I looked at her then, really looked. The woman who chose me not for potential, not for flash, but for who I already was. For how I showed up. No more masks. No more games. That was the moment I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. Not because I needed her, but because I didn't have to perform for her. When I told her that a few weeks later, just quietly, sitting on the edge of the bed, no ring yet, no plan. She didn't cry. She didn't squeal. She just smiled and said, "I know." And that was better than any yes I ever imagined. We didn't rush to plan anything. No big wedding. No save the dates. We talked about maybe just doing something small, maybe just the courthouse. We'd figure it out. But in the meantime, we were already doing the thing people spend their whole lives chasing. Loving each other without pretending. Without fear. Without keeping score. And somehow, that felt bigger than all the fancy, loud love stories I used to dream about. It wasn't dramatic in the end. No speeches. No cameras. No, and now I understand everything moment. Just me, standing in the kitchen on a Wednesday night, cooking spaghetti, watching Lacey dance barefoot to some old Motown track while the cat sat uselessly on the counter. That's when I realized I had finally become the man I wanted to be. Not because I got rich. Not because I fixed everything. But because I let go of who I wasn't. I thought for a long time that I had to chase love. That I had to earn it through sacrifice, through pain, through proving myself over and over. Sarah made me believe that I had to work just to be enough. But I was already enough. It just took losing everything to see it. One night, a mutual friend told me Sarah was struggling, that things had gone south with the guy she left me for, that she'd lost her job, moved back in with her mom, that she still asked about me sometimes. I didn't feel sorry for her. I didn't feel mad either. I just didn't feel anything. Because by then, Lacey and I had built something unshakable. She never cared about luxury. Never asked for more than what I could give. She didn't want status or money. She wanted real, solid, steady, me. And that's what I gave her. I shot my shot with the one who loved me without the flash. The one who stayed when I had nothing but honesty and a still beating heart. The one who didn't want to be impressed, just held. And in the end, that saved me more than anything ever could. Now, we sit on a porch most nights, the good kind of quiet between us. We don't talk about the past much anymore. We don't have to. It's behind us, where it belongs. And if anyone ever asks how I got here, how I went from broken to better, it wasn't luck. It wasn't timing. It was choosing the one who saw my cracks and didn't flinch. The one who didn't just fall in love with potential, but with the man I became piece by piece.